Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of metal baking or cooking, whatever you want to call it. So today we're going to be making an apple pie, and it is the most amazing, bestest, kick-ass apple pie that you will ever have because it's my own recipe. Not really, I kind of follow the directions on the side of the Pillsbury crust box, but I kind of like do like a little variation on it. So I'm making this pie for Thanksgiving. I usually make a pumpkin pie and an apple pie, and I don't make my apple pie like really like sickly sweet and like with tons of like the cinnamon and nutmeg. I just don't like it that way. I like it like on the lighter side, so it tastes, I don't know, I feel like fresher and like you can taste the apples more. So if you're interested in seeing how this is done, then stay tuned. Okay, so first thing, you obviously need to cut up the apples. I usually do between 6 and 7 apples, and I use the Golden Delicious apples. And to cut them up, I don't do them by hand. I used to, it just took a long ass time. So now I have one of these. It's like one of those corers and peelers and cutters or whatever it's called. And I think you can buy these like maybe like any type of like store that sells like kitchenware. This thing is amazing. Like, you just like whip through like cutting the apples in like no time. So get yourself one of these. So hopefully you can see my workspace pretty well, hopefully. And so I just start off with the apple, take the stickers off, and wash them, obviously, so you get all the stuff off of them. So they are not nasty, you know, with all like the chemicals and stuff like that. So you have to secure this to the counter. You just push it down, and it has like this lever you push, and then it don't move. Stick the apple on there, and hopefully you guys can see this. I crank this a little bit to get it to about there. And this thing here is what peels it, and then this will core it once it goes through here, and it also slices it. Look at that. Isn't that sick? So obviously you still have to cut it in half. So I should probably not do it like this. I cut it like on my hand. I should probably do it on a cutting board, but I just cut it down the middle. Excuse me. I cut it down the middle, and I just check the insides just to make sure the core is all gone. Sometimes they'll leave little pieces or little pieces of seed, and like some of the top pieces will still have the skin on it, so I just make sure that's gone. And then I just put it into a big bowl, like so. And if there's any extra like pieces with the skin on it, then I just eat it. Then we just continue to crank them out. And this is the point where you put on your heavy metal music, and then you go crazy with the cranker. As you can see here, see there's some core left in there, so I just kind of like cut around it to try to get it out. And just put the good pieces inside the bowl. And then I have a trash over here, and I just, after a little bit, I just dump some of this stuff in the trash here. Voila! Keep cranking and keep listening to metal. So I forgot forgot to mention beforehand, you want to preheat the oven to 425 degrees. And then I broke down and I ended up getting out the cutting board because, like, see when stuff like that happens and like part of the seeds and all the stuff still remain because the thing didn't core it properly. So it's just easier to cut it on here. And then like in like, you know, around like in between when you have maybe like half the apples cut, you want to put maybe like a teaspoon or so of lemon juice just so it doesn't, the apples don't turn brown. You can buy like fresh lemon or you can just use this. It's the same thing. So I just kind of like sprinkle a little bit in there, not too much, just to cover some of it. Just a few shakes. And then I just kind of like toss it around. Yeah, because your apples can get like nasty, like brown color if you don't do that. Now I don't know how many apples I've done so far. I haven't been counting, but like I said, I usually do like 6 or 7 depending on the size. I'll probably do 7 of these because these ones that I got seem like a little bit small to me. And it's just always nicer to have like a fuller pie. So our apples are all cut. I used 7 and I put a couple more sprinkles of lemon juice on there. And then this part, I usually measure out about a cup of regular granulated white sugar. Sometimes I do like a third of, 3/4 of a cup, or sometimes I do a whole cup. And then, so I have about, it's actually in between 3/4 and a cup. If I need a little bit more, then I'll put a little bit more. So what I basically do is I like shake some on top, if you guys can see that. And then I kind of go like this. Like toss them up so I can like get to the parts that haven't been covered and sprinkle some more on. Shake it up a little bit more. Sprinkle the rest on. And shake it up a little bit more. Next I add, now this isn't on, so I like, you know, kind of do my own thing along with the recipe that's on the side of the Pillsbury crust blocks. So I add some light brown sugar and I use probably about like a 1/4 cup. I have more than a 1/4 cup here. So yeah, about a 1/4 to like a 1/3 of a cup. And I just do the same thing. I just sprinkle it on top and then I shake it up. If I didn't say, it's light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar, but I just like the light brown better. And then if I put like maybe a couple more little pinches on top. Just mix it up nicely. Work out those triceps and biceps. Here is the fun part, not really, where you add the cinnamon and the nutmeg. So first, let's do the nutmeg. I'm not a huge fan of nutmeg. I only like a slight taste of it. And I know if you buy like apple pies at the store, like I feel like it's overloaded with that. I basically, so I eyeball this and I just put like very little, like a few shakes over the top. So I think I just kind of go like this. Shake some over the top. I kind of coated the top a little bit with some, so you can see the brown sprinkles on there. Flip it around. Do a little bit more. Like I don't use like whole like teaspoons or whatever normal recipes call for because I just think that it's like way too much. So like that's like probably about it that I put on there for the nutmeg. With the cinnamon, but except I put a lot more cinnamon on there than the nutmeg. But I eyeball it. I don't even know how much I put on there. Like a teaspoon maybe. I just do the same thing. I just sprinkle it on top, but I give this like more of a thicker coating or covering, like a blanket of the brown coating. Flip it. Sprinkle some more. I guess it's just like what you like. I just don't like a ton of spice, nor does the rest of my family. I feel like, so the reason why I shake it like this is because I feel like if you use a spoon or something, it breaks up the apple slices, and then it just doesn't come out as nice if you don't have the whole slices. And then I end up just trying a piece of the apple to see if it's to my liking. The nutmeg and the cinnamon is good, but it needs more regular granulated sugar to sweeten it up. So I needed that full cup that I had said, because I really had like about 3/4 of the cup. So I just put a little bit more of the sugar on there. Let's see again. Much better. The next thing you will need is 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And that's just so that it doesn't because this will get liquidy from the apples, you know, once they get hot, the juices will all come out and you'll have like a pool of like water, apple juice at the bottom of your baking dish, your pie dish, and this will just help thicken it up so it's not so watery. I mean, it still happens to me. It'll be watery for me, and sometimes the juice will like seep out the sides, but you know what? It doesn't make a difference. It still tastes good. Let's come down here with you guys. So next, we're gonna get the pie plate out, and this is just, I think it's like a 9-inch round plate. And I try to get ones that have like a higher side on it. And then I just use Pillsbury pie crust. You can make your own. I have never made my own. I just feel like it's just a lot of work and I don't got time for that. The Pillsbury pie crusts, I'm telling you, they're so good. Like, they taste so good. Do not buy generic brands, like Stop and Shop brand, or wherever you go to the supermarket, like their brand. It's not the same. Like, Pillsbury is really good. It tastes homemade. So, if you want to make your own, fine. I don't have a recipe for that because I've never done it before, but just use this. Do you guys remember back in the day when, like, if you use these, when it used to come, like, folded? It was, like, kind of like folded and you had to, like, unfold it. Now this is, like, you have to unroll it. And I don't know if I necessarily care for that. And look, like, sometimes this shit happens where, like, little pieces, like, break off. I might end up using this one for the top one, because how it rips tore like that. So let's see if I have better luck with this one, unraveling this one, so I can use this for the bottom, because I don't want the bottom to leak. I probably should have took these out of the refrigerator to kind of like cool down a little bit so they're not as hard, so it unraveled better, but I totally forgot. So this is kind of like the half-assed way to bake an apple pie. No, but seriously, like, it tastes good. So you just kind of like fit it in there, press it into the bottom. I try to like stretch the sides up because I feel like with these bigger bowls, they don't fit as good. The bigger pie plates, they don't fit as good. So I kind of try to stretch the edges up just so I can pinch it together with the top crust. Fix this little gap right there. I mean, I want to someday try making my own pie crust. It's just like, you know, I'm always in like a rush to make things and I'm like, oh, I just don't feel like doing it. All right, so now we just dump the apples in, and I just do it by hand. I don't dump the whole bowl in because I try to keep, like, if there's excess juice in there, to keep it in the bowl so it doesn't go inside the pie and make it all watery. And I kind of just try to press it into the corners so you don't have, like, you know, you don't have the gaps. Fills gaps. That was my Rocky impression, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Or from the apple. Look, how nice. I try to do like even. I'll do like a little mound in the middle. And then I just take some butter. You can use margarine. I actually prefer margarine, but I didn't have any. I only have this butter. And I just put like a few pads of butter or margarine here and there. My camera kind of cut off because I have no more space left, so I put the butter on top. I put the pie crust top layer on top, and now you just pinch the crust edges together. You can flip the bottom up and like roll it into the top and pinch it together. Sometimes it's not long enough and you have to flip the top under like this, so I kind of like alternate depending on like what the situation is. But I prefer to have the top crust the bottom crust wrapped on top of the top, because it helps prevent like, you know, like the leakage of the juices to pouring out, but that's inevitable. It's going to happen anyways. All right, so it's all pinched together, and then next thing you have to do is cut some holes in the top so it can vent. So I just do like one in the middle. I kind of just go like that. One over here. One here. One here. Just kind of like equally distant, kind of like that. Just give it a couple vents, and then you're good to go. So then next we're gonna have to put this in the oven. And like I said, we have the oven at 425 degrees, and the package says 40 to 45 minutes. I find that's not always the case. I find that sometimes I have to leave it in there for an hour. So basically I just kind of check it as it goes. And so after the 45 minutes, what I do is I'll just take my knife and through one of the holes that we just made, I'll put it through and I'll feel how firm the apples are. If it's like really hard still going through, then I'll leave it in there for like another 15 minutes, so it's an hour. But if it's like soft, like you go right through it, like it's really soft, then take it out. And then there's another thing that I do. I used to take tin foil and wrap it on all around the edge of the crust, the top, you know, like the side, the outer rim, because if you're cooking it for like, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, the crust on the outside, like the edges get really brown and hard, and I don't like my crust like that. So I used to wrap it in tin foil, but then I got one of these, and this has been like the best thing ever. You just place it on top like that, and see how it covers the outer part of the crust, so that part doesn't get hard and like all dark and gross and crispy. So now we are going to put our pie in the oven, and we'll time it for 45 minutes and then check it after that. So I just put it in the oven, and about maybe like halfway through, I'll take that rim off just so that the outer part can get you know, firmer and cook a little bit more, so it's not like raw, like kind of dough. So yeah, like halfway through, I will check that. So I just took the pie out of the oven. It ended up being in there for an hour. And like I said, you just take the knife and you put it through till like it kind of just goes through easily and not too much resistance. And there you go. I had some, you know, like I said, the juice was going to come out, and it did. So I just wiped it off with a wet paper towel. But you just let it cool, and you can eat it when it's warm. Like slice it when it gets to like, you know, a warm temperature, not scalding hot, and eat it. Or what I do is I refrigerate it, and then we have it the next day for Thanksgiving. So let me know what you guys think about this recipe. If you have a similar recipe, if you have any other things that you guys do differently than what I did. And if you do make this, let me know how it turned out. Till next time, stay dark, my friends. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you guys later.